Hey guys, my name is Shai, and I'm recording this weekly reading on February 13th, 2022. I feel like I'm returning to something familiar. I'm not sure why. I don't know where that's coming from. Okay. Astrology for the week. Tomorrow, on the 14th, on Valentine's Day, for those of you interested in Valentine's Day, Mercury enters Aquarius again, re-enters Aquarius. Maybe that's where it's coming from. But because Mercury has already been in Aquarius in Aquarius before it went retrograde. So it was in Aquarius a couple of weeks ago, and it's moving back into Aquarius this time for good. And I don't think that's where this familiar energy is coming from, because I feel like this returning to the familiar is coming from months ago, years ago even. It's more of like a months ago, something from months ago. I don't know. I will let you know if I figure out where that vibe is coming from. um, so with Mercury re-entering Aquarius, that is helping get rid of this Capricorn vibe. You know, Mercury is done with Pluto, so we're done with this kind of thinking about density, right? We're getting really close to being done with the lingering Capricorn energy, because Mars and Venus, they're still in Capricorn, but they're also going to be moving into Aquarius within the next couple of weeks, I think. But Mercury moving into Aquarius, putting us back into thinking about the abstract. And I feel that this time with Mercury in Aquarius, we're going to be more able, because our minds have recently had this massive wash, right? Mercury has had 3 conjunctions with Pluto, and we've been purging our fears, releasing our fears, and it's just been washing, and resetting our minds, setting us up to really, really, really tuning into the highest frequencies of mind, of the higher mind of Aquarius energy, and the interconnectivity available with our that we can reach with our intellect. If you can tune into that, that is available for you, and it is there. And the Mercury in Aquarius can be very, very, very insightful, bringing you higher level downloads about how everything is interconnected through the entire cosmos. So I feel pretty good about that. And then things keep going. This is going to be an interesting week, because on the 16th, Venus and Mars are going to be conjunct. Now, they have been pretty close in the sky for a few weeks now, so I'm not sure. It depends, how tuned into how tuned into Venus and Mars you are. If you're going to be feeling this really on the day, on the 16th, you might feel something. I have been feeling this, honestly, more in my body, really, really in my body. Like the left and right sides of my body. I've been really aware of how the left and right halves of my body are almost like 2 different people, almost like 2 different beings, and how the left side of my body, since I'm right-handed, right, the left side of my body has been rather cramped up. I've been having pains in the left side of my body, like pains in the left side of my back. I've been really aware of how I don't always sit straight. I don't always stand straight. I do this weird wobble, and like my left leg is shorter than the right leg, and I've been really paying attention to getting both halves of my body in balance. So the Venus-Mars conjunction can be playing out for you on many different levels, right? Internally, literally, physically with your body, between you and your partner, between the 2 halves of your brain, right? The 2 hemispheres of your mind. You could be balancing out your masculine and feminine on a much higher kind of cosmic level. They are in Capricorn still for right now. So I feel like it is likely to reflect in the physical. I think that's why I'm feeling it in my body, since I'm a Capricorn and they're transiting over, my home energy, getting my body into balance. So for anybody who is in a relationship that has been challenged lately, the Venus-Mars conjunction, I feel, will either bring you to a breakup or a breakthrough, right? And it's your choice. It is your choice. Your choice. Let me emphasize that. Your choice, your choice, your choice. You might be, tempted to draw some cards or do something like that, where you kind of try to divine what the destiny for your relationship is, but it is your choice, your choice, your choice about whether this rebalancing energy brings you to a breakup or a breakthrough, right? Your relationship can level up into a whole new experience of balance, or you guys can decide that, this is not working out and you're going to dissolve and go your separate ways, a breakup or a breakthrough in terms of your Venus and Mars balance in your relationship like that. And that is happening the same day, the Leo full moon, okay? The Leo full moon is also happening the same day as the Venus-Mars conjunction. So I have to laugh. I have to laugh. There's so much potential with this to rise above it all, to absolutely claim your sovereignty once and for all. We have all been having this sovereignty training, this facing our fears of restrictions, facing our fears of unity. And with the Leo full moon, we can rise above it all. If you can integrate yourself, integrate your two halves, integrate all of your parts, rise above it all, and achieve sovereignty within interconnectedness. Sovereignty within interconnectedness. This is not the time for black and white thinking. This is the time to remember that it is this and that. You can really have it all. You can be truly independent, truly sovereign, truly whole in and of your own self. You can remember that you always have the right to choose, that you always have free will, that you always have a choice. And at the same time, you can be part of a beautiful, interconnected collective. You can be part of a relationship. You can be in perfect harmony with your environment, right? It is not either or. You can have both. That is what the Leo Aquarius axis is ultimately trying to show us, that it's not either or, right? This is a polarity, self and others, and they're not actually in conflict. We just think they're in conflict down here in the earth plane. So I think everything we've been through for the last few weeks has been clearing the way, paving the way so that we can really make the most of this Leo full moon with the Venus-Mars conjunction at the same time. If you tune into the higher frequencies and really just remember that you can have it all. You can have it all. You can have the best of both worlds. You can have your cake and eat it too. And I wrote down here on the 17th, the Jupiter sextile Uranus. That's a pretty minor aspect. It's just a sextile, meaning that there's just going to be a little bit of flow of energy between Jupiter in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus. I wrote it down because I was really drawn to that. Let's get a card specifically on that, because I'm not sure why that is interesting or relevant, but I felt like it was something I was meant to address. Ace of Cups with love. Okay, so apparently it's a very positive aspect, bringing a little bit of healing, bringing a little bit of love coming through, right? And look at this, as above, so below, right? As above, so below. The cup is full up above and it is reflected down below. So also a very spiritual aspect. And think about it, Jupiter in Pisces, very, very, very spiritual, right? Bringing everybody, the whole Jupiter in Pisces transit is expanding our spiritual being, our spiritual pond, our spiritual pool. It's like we're expanding our ability to hold energy, our ability to hold love. And I feel like that's going to flow down, right? It's like this cup up top here. The top cup is the Jupiter in Pisces, gathering the love, gathering the water, and then it's going to funnel all down and reflect in the earth plane, because Uranus right now is in Taurus. So that's literally funneling it down into the earth plane. I feel like for a few people, this isn't going to be relevant for everybody, but for a few people, if all of this if you have lingering resentments or bitternesses or just tension within a relationship with somebody, it could even be between you and the collective, but I think particularly for people who have tension in a relationship, you could have some tension around Valentine's Day and then around the full moon, but then afterwards, like later in the week, there is a lot of potential for reconciliation and kind of the love flowing through once again. So anybody who does have some turbulence around Valentine's Day and the full moon, like early in the week, try not to panic. I think there's massive potential for it to resolve and move back into love and flow later in the week. And at the end of the week, on the 18th, everything is starting to change because it is Sun moving into Pisces. And I'm really excited about this because I'm kind of getting done with the Aquarius energy, honestly, but I hate to say it. I was hoping, I wish I could say that when the sun moves into Pisces, we're going to have a complete shift in energy and we're going to be moving back into our spirituality and the emotional body. But Aquarius season is gonna like die hard this year because Mercury is in Aquarius, and then Venus and Mars are going to be in Aquarius, and all three of those inner planets are going to be transiting Saturn. So there's going to be an actual 4-planet stellium in Aquarius while we're in Pisces season. But meanwhile, in Pisces season, it's going to be Sun and Jupiter in Pisces, right? Very, very beautiful, very, very benevolent. So I feel like instead of a complete shift into the Pisces energy, this is moving into like next week, but I want to get this out. This is going to be important to keep in mind for like the next month or so. There's going to be a balancing of your mental body and your emotional body, right? All of that action in Aquarius being balanced out by the beautiful, benevolent light and love of the Sun and Jupiter in Pisces, bringing everything into balance, because we've been in our minds, we've been in our fears and our anxieties a little bit more than we would like. And it's going to be balancing that out with the emotionality and the love and the spirituality of Pisces. One more note on Pisces before I draw some cards. I used to find Pisces season extremely challenging. So Pisces season, since it's so complex and it's so diverse, different people experience it very, very differently. Some people find it so free and so loving and so flowing and so beautiful. I used to find it absolutely exhausting. I mean, fatiguing on a physical level. Even before I knew about astrology, I just knew that in the end of February and in March that I would be exhausted. I mean, like, it was like my body was made out of lead. I would just be so exhausted. I wouldn't be particularly depressed, just physical fatigue on an absolutely unreal level. And eventually I figured out that it was directly connected to Pisces season. But last year moving into Pisces season, I set the intention to tune into the highest frequencies of Pisces energy, and it worked. And last year I did not have fatigue. Instead, during Pisces season, I experienced flow and transcendence, right? So moving into Pisces season, we get towards the end of the week. What is the 18th? I think it's like Friday. What I'm going to be doing is deliberately choosing to tune into the highest frequencies of Pisces, which is transcendence, right? Spiritual transcendence of all darkness, the light coming down to illuminate the darkness, right? Because Pisces energy includes all energies, like everything, the bottom of the Marianas Trench all the way up to the stratosphere, right? It is everything. It is all frequencies, all muddled up. So it is absolutely up to us to choose what frequencies that we experience in Pisces season. Luckily, we've been training our focus for the last month, right? So we've been getting ready for this, and we've cleared a lot of fears. So, we can really harness the energies coming up for us. I am excited. I am excited. Okay, let's get some cards. New decks. That's how I know things are starting to shift, right? Things are starting to shift because I have two new decks. Things are starting to move. We're moving and grooving. Sacred Destiny Oracle. This deck is beautiful. And these heart-shaped cards, the Lover's Oracle, which I had to get. Oh, here they all come spilling out. This is apparently one of the cards for us. I do want to get some tarot cards, though, before I do these. I think I actually want to break this up. One card for Mercury and Aquarius. Yeah, and then I'm gonna actually break this up by aspects, right? So let me get that piece of paper back so I know what I'm doing. Okay, first up, Mercury and Aquarius. What do we need to know? Page of Pentacles. This octopus. Oh my God. Oh my God. I have been, over the past couple weeks, I've been learning to associate octopuses with Aquarius energy because that's how I see Aquarius, right? It's like a snowflake going out in all directions. It's all directions. It is like a kaleidoscope or a mandala, or that's reflected in physical animal form with an octopus, right? Tentacles going in every direction. I actually just watched a James Bond movie, what is it called? Now I can't remember. Spectre, the James Bond movie Spectre. I just watched it. I think it was around the time of the Aquarius new moon, and there were tentacles in the, you know, opening sequence, where they sing this, do the song and all that, and there were these tentacles, and I was like, this is the most Aquarius thing I've ever seen, and that whole movie was kind of facing Aquarian fears, and here we have this octopus, but look, he's found a brand new pentacle, he's found a brand new start, right? So all of those fears, all the things we've been facing, we can let go of them and we can find something new. We can create something new now. Now your mind is clear, your mind is fresh, it has been washed, right? Your mind has literally been washed, but not like brainwashing, right? It has been washed clean. It has been washed clean. Yeah, a couple days ago, I dropped my phone in the bathtub, and it was fine because it was a waterproof phone and I got it all dry and everything, and it was fine. But the screen protector, I had to peel it off because the water had, you know, compromised the glue. And I was like, wow, now my screen looked all nice, so fresh and so clean. That's what this is, right? A new fresh start for our minds entering Aquarius season, literally beginning on Valentine's Day. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say about that. What else? Okay, Venus and Mars conjunction. That's this card. Look at this beautiful art. Just let you look at that. He's got angel wings. She's dreaming of hearts. We got lots of lower chakras lit up down here. I have no idea what's on the back. Healing. Imagine yourself and your beloved surrounded by light. Feel your relationship being healed this very moment. Oh my God. Yes, this is what I was saying. It is your choice, your choice, your choice if your relationship is going to heal or if it's going to dissolve. And honestly, I mean, sometimes letting a relationship dissolve is the most healing thing that you can do, right? The main thing here is that healing is at hand. Healing is absolutely at hand for you and all of your interconnections with other people, right? Obviously, this is pretty romantic and sexual thing going on here, but if this is a friendship or even relationship with yourself going on here, so healing, and it is your choice about how you proceed with this. I think a tarot card for Mars and Venus as well. I'm probably going to be making more videos looking at Mars and Venus, but let's see what we get here. Queen of Wands. Look at this. I love it. I love it. We got this lioness on here. The Venus-Mars conjunction is happening at the same time as the Leo full moon, and here she is, beautiful lion coming through. Again, right? You can be sovereign and independent in your relationship and still be in a loving relationship, right? Your relationship doesn't have to be codependent. It doesn't have to be codependent. For some people, maybe healing and moving on from codependency. Also for others, like allowing yourself to develop more interconnection. I think this can go two ways depending on where you're at, right? Because everything with Aquarius season, it's like coming from all angles, like this octopus. So if you've been in a place of codependence, this is like helping you rise up into greater levels of independence and sovereignty and having a healthy, more balanced relationship. If you have been holding yourself apart from love or apart from others because you fear your independence being overwhelmed or you fear your choices or your freedom being taken away, this is remembering that you can have it both. You can still be independent and sovereign while also dipping your toes into the pond and coming into the pond and being in the relationship or being in the community with everyone, with all together. Okay. I think some cards from this Sacred Destiny Oracle, kind of just for the end of the week. Let's see, if today's the 13th, Monday's the 14th, therefore the full moon and the Venus-Mars conjunction is on Wednesday. So I'm talking more like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? What's happening at the end of the week when we start to have this, when we'll be having a come down after the full moon, right? The kind of unwinding. I mean, the full moon energy will ripple out. I can feel energy, like full moon energy for up to 2 weeks sometimes, right? It just depends on how hard it hits. But we're going to start having this shift into Pisces towards the end of the week. So let's find out what we want to know about that for the second half of our week. I'm just hearing like a random string of words in my head. I'm hearing joy. I'm hearing divine. I'm hearing this sparkles. I'm hearing bells. Two cards here. Solitude and diligence. After the full moon, beautiful, beautiful solitude. But look how beautiful this solitude is, guys. Look how beautiful it is. Out in your boat, on your island, right? Finding your I was going to say safe space, but this is more like finding your sacred space, right? And being powered to be alone, and knowing that alone does not mean lonely, alone, solitary, right? Diligence. Bird's eye view. Bird's eye view. I'm looking at this landscape here. This deck is all about the landscapes represented on the card. So I have a story to tell about this island, actually. But before I talk about the island, I got to get these out of the way. And this is this bird's eye view, flying higher than the clouds, looking down at the patchwork of civilization, looking down on the fields. This is rising above it all. Wow, okay. These cards are really, really, really showing me something to talk about from things I have been through recently. So it's story time. So solitude, right? This card with this person floating around in their island. This is very significant for me because I have, my entire life, right? I am very easily kind of like overwhelmed by the emotions coming in from the collective. And it isn't even really necessarily people that I know or people that I'm connecting with. It's like, a lot of you are like this as well, right? You are empathically receiving the emotions from the entire planet, from the entire collective. And it's really hard to get away from that sometimes. And sometimes it's like you just want like a break from receiving and feeling all of the emotions. And these go together. Maybe I can tell this just as one story. The way I've been led to understand it recently is that those of us who are kind of tuned in and receiving the emotions of the entire planet, the analogy is it's like you're a lightning rod, right? It's like you're a lightning rod because a lightning rod is the tallest thing in a landscape. It is the highest thing, right? It is the thing that reaches up and beyond, up into the heavens, right? So what happens when there is a storm, right? When there's a storm, when there is a ton of electricity in the air, right? A ton of electricity in the air, and there's all this energy, all flying around, and there's all this clouds and all this wind and all this rain and all this turbulence. All the electricity creates lightning, and it hits the lightning rod, right? It strikes the lightning rod, and the lightning goes through the lightning rod and goes down into the ground. And lightning serves like an important purpose because it discharges all of that energy from the air, right? And when you have a storm, all of that lightning, it's like the energy would just be like going around in the sky, creating more and more storms, right? But the lightning is how the earth like discharges all of that energy from the air, and it needs to basically hit the ground, right? It needs to go to ground. The energy desperately needs to go to ground. So it hits a lightning rod or the tallest tree or the tallest building. It hits the first thing it can. It hits the tallest thing it can to send that energy back down into the earth, right? That's the physical analogy for what it's like for anybody who is this kind of like a planetary empath, collective empath, like an empath who is tuned into the frequencies that are flying around the planet all the time and sending that energy to the ground. You're literally like a lightning rod that is receiving all of these like emotions that are flying around that just want to go back to ground, right? They're emotions that are all up in the air, creating emotional storms, creating energetic storms. Somebody needs to pick up on those and send them down to ground. That's what empaths do, right? Receive the emotion and send it back down into the ground, back down to Gaia, where it's just energy that is just recycled at that point. It's not bad energy. It's just energy that has been flying around in the air and doesn't have anywhere to go, and somebody needs to receive it and send it into the earth. That's what I do. That's what you guys do. That's what we're all doing, right? That's what empaths do. Ground all of these ambient emotions that are all flying around. And so how do you how do you deal with this when it gets to be too much, right? Sometimes it's like I can't just constantly be getting hit by lightning, right? You can't be getting hit by lightning all the time. You need a break. You need a place to go. You need a sacred space. That is why the solitude is so important, right? The solitude, finding your island. And I actually have like a place in my head where I go. It is my island, and it is my place where all of that energy, all of those emotions, all of the things I'm empathically picking up on all the time, they can't get me there, right? It's where I go to get away from all of the emotions, all of the energy, all of it. And it's just in my head, it began as just a little rock in the middle of the ocean, and I always see like all of the feels that are trying to get me. They're like things in the water coming up to my island, and they try to crawl into my island and get all over me, right? And I'm like, no, you guys got to stay in the water, right? And I've like added to this over time. Like my island has grown from being a rock in the ocean to now it is this big massive island full of lush greenery. It's like this tropical island, and it has a mountain in the middle, and I'm a mermaid that also sits on top of the mountain, right? Because I can shapeshift between being a mermaid and going for a swim, and I can be a mountain goat and climb to the top of the pillar in the middle of the island. And and my husband is also on the island. He is my guardian. He shapeshifts between being a man and being a centaur, and he runs around the edge of the island. If there's a particularly ornery like feeling or energy that's trying to climb up into my island and isn't respecting my sovereignty, isn't respecting my island, my solitude, right? My husband runs around with his trident, and he like zaps he zaps the things that are trying to get up, and then in that way everything stays off my island. And my island also has a force field that, like it's a force field of love that filters out anything that does come in. If something comes into the island, it transforms itself into a loving frequency, so that only loving things get onto the island. And it's like I could just keep adding to this and building to it, and it's just like a mental exercise I do in my head, but it really, really works. When I'm feeling overwhelmed by empathically picking up on all of these feelings and all of these energies in my head, I go to my island, right? I go to my island, and I know that I am safe there, and that is like only energies that I allow are there, right? And okay, more about this, the same type of thing about how do you rise above all of this. Okay, so the other part to this is, okay, you're like an empathic lightning rod, right? You're out there, you're getting zapped by everybody's emotions from the entire planet, and that is you're gonna become more aware of this as we move into Pisces season, because all of this Aquarius energy, you have been picking up on the mental energy of the entire planet, right? Everybody has been thinking, fearing, anxiety, blah, 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 right? All of that mental stuff. The same thing is going to start happening with emotions even more. Of course, our emotions like never stop. Even if all the planets were in Aquarius, we still would have emotions. But with the Pisces energy coming in at the end of the week, it's going to become more. So the challenge, the trick, one of the things you can do is to rise above it all, right? Imagine, we'll continue with the lightning rod analogy. What happens to a lightning rod if it just kept going taller and taller and taller and higher and higher and higher? If it got above the clouds, if it got above the storm, if it got out into the stratosphere, what if it went all the way out into space, right? We could build that. We could build a space elevator. We could literally build a pole that went all the way up out into space, right? It would cost like $1 trillion or something like that. But it is possible with our current technology that we could build an elevator to space, right? If we decided to actually do it, we could do it. Same thing with you rising above it all. You just need to become taller and taller and taller, higher and higher and higher. Raise your frequency higher and higher and higher. Reach up into the higher realms, higher and higher and higher, and get connected so that you're no longer just this like lightning rod sticking up there and getting zapped by the lightning, getting zapped by all of people's emotions. You become a bridge, right? You transcend all the way up out of the earth and bridge yourself between the 3D, between the crust of the earth, between your physical body and your higher self, really, or your soul star, like source. You could pick whatever higher anchor point you want. It can be anything. You could anchor yourself into the moon, into the sun, into Jupiter, into like anything. Pick something, like the Sirius star system, like literally anything that you want. Any analogy will work for you. And now you're not just a lightning rod. Now you are a bridge, right? You're a bridge. But you haven't actually left the earth. That's the thing. You haven't left. You didn't go anywhere. You're firmly, completely rooted and anchored into the earth. Also, on the other end of your bridge, right? The other end of your bridge, you are also firmly rooted and anchored into wherever it is in the cosmos, in the higher realms that you are choosing to anchor yourself into, right? Now you're a bridge. Now you're a bridge. And if we did have a lightning rod that went all the way out into space, right? It would no longer be getting zapped by lightning because the lightning only wants to hit the top of something. It's not going to like hit a pole. At least this is how my husband described it. I'm not too up on like weather physics, but this is what he was saying. So I'm repeating what he said. Don't quote me on this, but from what I understand, like a space elevator, if it was made out of conductive material, wouldn't actually get struck by lightning because lightning is only wanting to hit the top tip, right? It's not going to hit the side of something. It's going to hit the top tip of something. So to rise above it all, to rise above all the feels and all the stuff that's like zapping you and overwhelming you, rise above it all, get that bird's eye view. It's going to take a little bit of diligence, right? To grow yourself that tall, to raise your frequency that tall. But I know you can do it because we have been training for this like all month, right? All month we have been training for this. I noticed that I put this Solitude card up on top of this lion, this full moon Leo card. I feel I have been noticing. I'm already noticing this because I'm feeling the full moon energy come in already. And I'm seeing it impact people in two different ways. Some people are wanting to go completely hermit mode, go very, very solitary and basically not talk to anybody. That's how I'm feeling. But on the other hand, a lot of people are taking this as an opportunity to come together and to hang out with, new friends or old friends or whatever. I'm seeing a lot of my friends and family are all like having get-togethers and doing stuff together and like coming together as a friend group, and I'm like, sorry guys, I'm just like not feeling it right now. I need to be solitary. I need my space, my alone time right now. So depending on how you're vibing with that, just know that there is no wrong way. You need to go with whatever way is feeling right for you, right? Is this time to connect or is it time to step out? And I think for most of you, it's probably going to be a good time for being solitary around the time of the full moon. The exception will be I was going to say something about people who are having this conflict in the relationship, right? If there is a conflict that needs to be resolved, I don't think that staying, like, if you're maybe like bickering with your partner, right, or something like that, if you're bickering with your partner, space might be good to kind of keep the like argument from blowing out of control. But I sort of feel like this energy is going to make it come to a head one way or another. It feels like there are certain connections that will be very, very, very relevant to address, even if you're in solitude mode. There might be one or two connections that need to have their time. It's like you need to give somebody airtime, right? If you're in solitude, if you're in hermit mode, you might notice that it's like, okay, maybe it's even just calling your mom on the phone, right? There might be somebody and you might need to just schedule them in your solitude, schedule them in, give them some airtime. It's like talking to somebody for an hour might be better, even if you don't really feel like doing it, might work out better for you in the long run than trying to avoid them entirely, because that might make that energy snowball out of control. Which reminds me, one final thing about this whole thing about being a lightning rod, right? Being an empath that's absorbing all of these energies, something I have just started practicing literally this morning. So I can't tell you how successful it's going to be, but I am making a deliberate attempt to literally do what I just said, schedule in time to empathically process all of this ambient energy, because I do see how it is important for empaths to do this work. Like, it's important for the planet that we do this work. This is part of our service, because just like when lightning hits a lightning rod and all of this lightning gets discharged out of the sky, what happens after a storm, right? It's a beautiful, clear, sunny day and it's calm because all that energy has been discharged. So when an empath, when we feel all this energy, right? When we feel it, when we experience it, when we send it through our bodies and send it back down into the earth, that's literally like energetically cleaning the energetic atmosphere of the earth, right? That's why we're here. That's why we are so sensitive. That's why we do this work. It is to clean and to clear all of everybody else's emotions that they released and are flying around, right? So there's this balance to be struck between playing out your energetic function, right? If you were born extremely empathic and you know that you do this healing work for the planet by grounding all of this energy, it is kind of inevitable that you do this, but you also need to make sure that you're not allowing it to overwhelm and derail your life. So what I am doing is basically maybe I don't know how often I'm going to be doing it yet. Maybe it's going to end up being like 3 or 4 times a week. I'm going to deliberately sit down and be like, okay, energy, okay, feels, okay, all of you random feels that are out there. I'm giving you 30 minutes, right? I'm going to sit here, going to be open and available. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to receive all of these feelings. I'm going to feel you. I'm going to send you down into the earth. I will channel you. I will listen to you. I will take your grievances, right? It's like scheduling them in. It's like I'm going to give the feels an appointment, right? I'm going to have empathic appointments with the earth's feelings so that I can basically kind of cloister all of that into one half an hour at a time so that I'm hoping, my hope here, again, I don't know how it's going to go. I'm hoping that by doing that, then I won't be kind of derailed by the feelings or, randomly hit by lightning. It's like instead of being randomly hit by lightning, when I least expect it, right? Instead of being randomly hit by all the feelings, I'm going to schedule myself time in order to energetically clear out all of those feelings and send them down into the earth. So I'm hoping that will make this whole experience of being a lightning rod empath more predictable, manageable, and less overwhelming for my daily life. And I think that's all I have to say for this week, guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.